What is going on, everybody? Thanks for checking out another guitar video with us. Today we have this IYV PRS style guitar, and this thing is looking good. We're gonna tell you all about it. Stay tuned, because if you like these videos, stick around, hit that subscribe button. We're gonna be doing a lot more guitar reviews coming up in the future, and especially on some budget-friendly options like this IYV guitar. All right, guys, let's dive into this review right now. So this is the IYV PRS style guitar. This is an IP-350 TBK, which stands for transparent black. You can see that beautiful flame maple veneer right here, and it just looks amazing. I really like how it goes from this really dark black, and it kind of just subtly goes into that gray pattern right there. It just looks really, really nice. But this guitar is only around 200 bucks, and actually I paid $175 for it. And I believe sometimes on Amazon you can get it for even cheaper than that. So a nice little PRS option here if you're looking for this style of guitar, and I don't think you can go wrong with this guitar. It's a pretty good value for what you get, and we're gonna be breaking down some of the pros and cons of this guitar. So let me be honest right up front, this thing is not without flaws. Believe me, it has a lot of flaws to it, but from a distance, this thing looks really good, and you can't really tell that any of the flaws are there. But I might have just got a bad guitar, but there is a lot of flaws and blemishes with this guitar. But the sound quality that this guitar produces is really good, so we're gonna talk about that too. All right, guys, so this is a 25-inch scale length, just like most PRS guitars are. It kind of fits the bill between a Les Paul and a Strat style scale length. So between the nut here and the bridge, 25 inches, which is a good mix, and this does come with size 10 strings on it, so I think it fits this guitar really well. I don't think I would put 9s on this, but that's just personal preference. You may be different. This is a string through design, which I really like. It's one of my favorite designs, where the strings come through the back here, and you can see the nice little ferrules. So they come through the back, out the front, across the Tune-o-matic bridge that it has, just like most Les Pauls have, and SG style guitars. So it does have a 3-way toggle switch here. The toggle switch, just like most reviews on this guitar have said, it does kind of feel cheap. And you know, that's not a big issue, but it does kind of feel cheap. The knobs here, so you got one tone, one volume. See the volume knob. You can hear it's kind of rubbing on the finish there, so that's no big deal. You can just kind of pull it off a little bit. Look, these actually pull off probably too easy. And it just has a little plastic insert in there, but yeah, we just backed it off a little bit and fixed that. Not the highest quality in the world. I'd kind of like a set screw to be there, but hey, at 200 bucks, you really can't be picky about too much on this. It does have 2 humbuckers, so they say Destiny CNC wound. I don't know if you can see it too good. The sticker's still on this one, but it fell off of this one. So you can see that. The humbuckers actually sound really good. I've been playing this for a couple days, and I'm kind of impressed with the tone that this thing produces. Just like most Les Pauls, you know, it has that really deep, crunchy tone to it, really able to handle any type of distortion, high gain settings that you could be putting through this guitar. And I think it kind of fits the bill good if you're looking for that route. And if you use the neck pickup, it really has that nice bluesy tone to it, like you would expect out of most humbuckers in the neck position. All right, guys. Let's give one more shot of this flame maple veneer top that it has. And you can see it does have a little bit of an arch to it. It's not crazy arched, but you know, it's pretty good. And then you can see how the binding here, I'm pretty sure what they did is just painted the bottom portion here and then left the top portion here just exposed. And then they put the veneer over the top of it here on top. But they just use the polyurethane just directly onto the wood here. That's not an actual binding. You can kind of see the wood grain. But pretty good little detail on this guitar. I really like how it has that. It kind of sets it out and apart from the rest of the guitar. So it looks really good. Let's look closer at the Tunematic bridge. Really nice Tunematic bridge. I can't complain about this at all. I've seen worse. The pickups, once again, look really nice. Can't complain. The neck, though, is kind of where it gets a little dicey. The neck isn't the highest quality in the world. It's one of the biggest downfalls of this guitar is the neck. Let's see if we can get a close-up here. Right there, you can see there's a little bit of damage right there, or it's like a defect in the wood. Let me see if we can get a different. So right here, hopefully you can see that. There's quite a bit of damage right there to that wood, right there where that fret is. And, you know, there's a lot of blemishes. Up through here, you can see it's exposed right there. Pretty good sized blemish. And I'm not being too picky on this guitar, honestly. And there are a ton of blemishes up on the headstock. You can see that right there. Huge bubble, I guess, was in the lacquer when they put it on there. There's a really big rub spot there. I saw this as soon as I pulled it out of the packaging. Huge mark up here on the headstock, rub spot. There's another one right there beside the tuning post. And then back here too. See right there. But, I mean, if you can get past a lot of those defects, then you probably have a pretty nice guitar. There's a nice little rub mark there. So I don't know if this was a used guitar or not. I don't think this was a used guitar. It just has a lot of blemishes to it because the frets themselves are super gritty. You can just hear the grit that's on these frets. And that's not a big deal. You can go through and polish these up and kind of work out the kinks in those. But overall, the frets, they don't have any sprout, or at least this guitar doesn't. No sprout at all. And, you know, I don't know if they're polished or anything on the ends here. I don't think they are, but the frets themselves really need to maybe take a Scotch-Brite pad and just kind of work them over just a little bit. I think you could smooth that out. And then also the fretboard itself, I can't remember what wood this is, but it's not mahogany and it's not rosewood, but it's like a rosewood like wood. It's kind of like rosewood, but it's not. But it's really dried out. Really has like a, you can't tell from the camera, but it's like a really light tone to it. So if you took some fretboard oil or something like that and kind of put it on the fretboard, it's going to condition that up a little bit, and I think you'll be able to play it a lot easier. But overall, this guitar isn't too bad. I know I've been picking out a lot of flaws and stuff with it, but at $200, you can't really be too picky about it. It says it does have a bone nut, and this is a really wide nut. I mean, it's almost as wide as my finger, and I don't know if you can tell, but there is a lot of gap in between the string and the actual bone there. So there's a lot of room. Like you could put some 13s on this and I think it would fit down in there just fine. But it kind of does feel like bone. Tuning machines on here they're really cheap filling. I was kind of expecting some Grover style tuners. I think it would be a really nice addition to this guitar. You know, a lot of the $200 guitars on Amazon have the Grover tuners, especially the Les Paul style guitars. And this one would have really benefited from having some Grover style tuners. But these, you know, they do hold it in tune, but not the best. And they just feel really, really cheap. There's a lot of play in them. So another downside of this guitar. All right, guys, so we kind of gave an overview of this guitar. I'm not going to hit all the specifications of it. I don't really think a lot of those specifications even matter. You guys just want to hear the guitar and you want to see what it looks like, just like I was when I was trying to research this guitar before I purchased it. But some of the pros of this guitar is the shape. If you're looking for a PRS style guitar shape and you really like that chunky neck that this thing has, and I forgot to mention about the neck. Guys, this thing is like a baseball bat. Look at that neck. That thing is just huge. So when you think of a PRS guitar, you think about a really wide radius fretboard So this thing I would say is around a 14-inch radius fretboard, which is huge. And I don't have the largest hands in the world, but this thing is just a baseball bat. It is a really, really thick neck here. So if you like that, then this guitar was probably for you. And I know a lot of PRS guitars, they have a really chunky neck, but this one is just a little bit bigger, I think, than most PRS guitars, because I've played a lot in Guitar Center. This one is a little bit chunkier than that, but not a big issue there if you're into that type of neck. Another thing is the flame maple top. I just love the way this flame maple veneer looks. I think it's kind of the selling point of this guitar, and then the binding that really isn't binding, it's just not painted, but I think that's a really nice touch to this guitar. And then the pickups, you guys haven't heard them yet, but the pickups are where this guitar really shines, as well as the way the body looks. And other than that, I think that's about all the pros that we have with this guitar. For 200 bucks, this is really going to be a guitar that you want to use to kind of make modifications to and make it better. Or this could just be a really good beginner's guitar. But this is not a super high quality guitar for what you get for 200 bucks. All right, guys, let's talk about the cons. The first thing is the blemishes that this thing came with. I've never bought a guitar before that had as many blemishes as this. You know, I've bought a lot of guitars when I was younger from musicians' friends, blemished guitars, and they didn't have as many blemishes as this guitar does. So I get it 200 bucks once again, but it has a lot of blemishes, so expect that. But if you do order one, just expect it could have some blemishes to it. The next thing that's a con is the tuners. Like we said, they're not the highest quality. I could swap these out for Grovers, and I think it would be a really good addition to it. So one thing to look forward to if you're going to plan on building something like this. The three-way switch. The three-way switch is also another con. Just feels really cheap. I mean, you could knock it really easy, and it just isn't too positive. But, you know, once again, it's not a huge downside of this guitar. And then the last thing is the nut. The channels are just cut way too deep, and they're too wide. So, I mean, the string has a lot of wiggle room in there to move around. So really not the highest quality nut on this thing. All right, guys, now that we did a brief overview of this guitar, I kind of showed you some of the specs and some of the close-up shots. Now let's plug this thing into the computer and see what kind of tones we can get out of this guitar. All right, we're gonna try the bridge pickup, and I have the tone knob all the way on, so it's gonna give it more of that treble tone, and then I have the volume turned all the way on as well. We're gonna try some high gain stuff now. got this one ran through like a clean Marshall stack. All right, now we're gonna do both pickups in the middle of the selection here. We'll do a little bit of clean and we'll do a little bit of crunch. We're not gonna do too much with these. All right, now we're gonna do both pickups in the middle of the selection here. We'll do a little bit of clean and we'll do a little bit of crunch. We're not gonna do too much with these. All right, guys, after listening to what this guitar has to offer as far as tone goes, hopefully you liked it. I think it's probably the strongest part of this guitar. It almost sounds as good as just about any other Les Paul or PRS style guitar I've ever played. It really just has a really nice, clear tone to it. It does have a lot of breakup and stuff in the mid and neck position here. But overall, it sounds pretty good, guys. I can't complain about this guitar. So guys, that's a good little overview of this guitar. I really think this is a good guitar if you're looking for a beginner's guitar or something or a good platform to build on. I think this guitar might be for you. Or if you're just looking for a nice guitar to hang on your wall, because this thing does look pretty good hanging on the wall, and you can't tell that the blemishes are there when it's hanging on your wall. You can only really see those when you're close up. All right, guys, hope you like this gear review today of this IYV PRS style guitar. And if you're looking for a guitar like this, head on over to Amazon and you can pick one up for pretty cheap. And it being Black Friday or around Black Friday, you know, you can probably pick one of these up pretty cheap if it's on sale. All right, guys, if you like this kind of gear review, please subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this. Also, hit that like button if you liked it. It helps me out on the channel. We'll catch you in future gear review videos.